Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I am, of course, your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a fantastic day. It is a wonderful Saturday night here in Edmonton and a beautiful Sunday morning in Australia. I am joined today by Mr. Peter Kent. How you doing, Peter?
Great, Armando. How are you? Thanks for having me back on here. It's been always a pleasure. Yeah,
Anytime you want to come back on, you are always welcome.
thanks
We
for
always
that.
have a good time together. Ladies and gentlemen, Peter came up with this idea to talk about albums that we think are, I don't want to say great, but albums that we think are good, or, maybe albums that should be given more attention to. We haven't really thought of the name of this show yet. And once we come up with it, you'll see it in the listing on the channel. But the discussion of this episode will be focused on Kiss and their sophomore release, Harder Than Hell.
Yep.
Okay. Now, just a bit of background for those of you who've been living in a cave for the last 40 some odd years. Kiss are a hard rock band from New York City, four-piece consisting of, at the time of this release, Gene Simmons on bass, Paul Stanley on rhythm guitar and lead vocals, also Gene Simmons on lead vocals on some tracks, Peter Criss on drums, sorry, and Ace Frehley on lead guitar. Now, Harder Than Hell, a bit of background on this album. It's a bit of a controversial album in terms of its sound.
Yeah.
After the first album did not do all that well, Neil Bogart, the head of Casablanca Records, rushed Kiss back into the studio to record their second album because he wanted to keep the momentum going. This album was released on October 22nd, 1974 via Casablanca Records. It was recorded in Los Angeles, again produced by Kenny Kerner and Richie Wise. What to say about this album? Quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
I like this album. I was listening to it again today, but I will be secondary on this episode. I will turn it over to Mr. Peter Kent, and
Thank
so
you.
he can discuss his views of this album, his history with Kiss and this album. So, Mr. Kent, take it away.
Thanks, Armando. Yeah. I got into Kiss in about 1978, I think it was. So, and this is the Hotter Than Hell is the first album I ever heard. So I bought
Okay.
that in '78. I loved it. I loved it immediately. The production isn't like you said, isn't the, it's a bit muddy, the production.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, everything about it I liked. And then I went on from there and I bought, your Destroyers, your debut album, Alive, is Alive, and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. And I loved all the '70s material. But yeah, getting back to Hotter Than Hell, yeah, it just made a big impact on me. Um, I feel it's a great it's Gene album. He sings on 5 of the tracks. Gene Simmons on this album. It's a great, and I love his vocals. Quite sinister in some of the he's quite sinister sounding in some of his vocals. And he did that a bit later on too on certain songs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it just Kiss had a great a great feel for melody. Although it's some people it's hard rock, but it's a good melody in their music. I
Mm-hmm.
felt all along in the '70s, and it's quite very catchy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all the bands sort of there's an a song on here sung by Peter, and Peter sings a Paul song as well. So there's the 2 Peter vocals on here.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Paul
Mm-hmm.
singing only 3. Well, he usually does more than that, but Gene
Mm-hmm.
singing 5. Ace at this point didn't do vocals.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just starts off great. We've got to choose that guitar coming in, Paul's vocals. I always thought Paul was an excellent vocalist. I thought that the band pretty much were all good singers. Ace is probably the weaker one for me, out
Hmm.
of all the vocalists. Yeah, but starts off great. We've got to choose, and then that Parasite, uh, the Ace song sung by Gene, really fast beginning, just real catchy. Great playing from Ace in that too.
Hmm.
Um, Ace is all over that song.
Hmm.
And then getting mellow again, going blind, that was done with Steve Coronel, early, I think Wicked Lester, wasn't he? Yeah, Wicked
Wicked
Lester
Lester.
with,
Yeah, that was the
yeah,
band.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a mellow song. I love the solo in it too. That's a great vocal, Gene. I like Gene's vocals, always have. And then Hotter Than Hell, which a good song. Probably hasn't aged as well as some of the others on here, but I still like it. Let Me Go Rock and Roll. It's a fast-paced one and great playing again from Ace. And then you
Mhm.
got Gene on side two. You got All the Way, very underrated track. And then you got the Watching You, very one of their greatest early tracks for me is Watching You, very sinister vocal.
Mhm.
And then P does like a rock song main line, I guess, written by Paul. And you got I think it's Coming Home is a good track, which I did on Unplugged later on, Coming
Yes, they
Home.
did. Yes, they
And
did.
with that's a Paul and Ace song. And then Ace, a nice song to finish with Peter on vocals, Strange Ways with a crazy guitar solo. Everyone knows that crazy guitar solo from Ace
Mhm. Mhm.
during that song. So yeah, just is it my favorite album? Well, it wouldn't have been one time. I would have said Destroyer was my favorite, but I did a ranking a while back and I put this at number one, but it's in my top three, I think. I would have to say,
Mhm.
as far as Kiss albums go. Yeah, I think it being at the first one I heard makes a bit of an impact too. The first one you heard,
Yeah.
it makes a
Yeah.
bit of a difference. And yeah, as I said, the production not the greatest. They got better later with the production with Bob Ezrin and so on, Eddie Kramer. But yeah, but as a lot of people have said, with the first three albums, the best versions are on the live album of some of these songs. Especially the first album. You get a lot of the live versions are really superior on the live album. So yeah,
Definitely.
one of their best for me. Yeah, I've got the album here. I'll just show you.
Ah.
Yeah, the finalist is a reissue, 2014 or something.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like this cover. I like it. Oh, there's something about it. Yeah, it's got the Japanese theme. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very much. Very much. All over the album.
yeah, and they got
All over
the
the cover. Yeah.
This is some bit of debauchery on the back there from some party they had.
Ye- During the
Yeah,
shoot. Yeah. During the.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
So yeah,
apparently they had to lock Paul Stanley in the car because in a car at some
yeah, yeah.
point because he had drunk too much and
Much.
even some members
Yeah,
said that
amazing stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
there were even some
Yeah, and
members
all
that
in all, a real great Kiss album. But for me, they did excellent albums later. Creatures of the Night and Revenge.
yeah.
Um, but for me, the first six studio albums with the live albums is where it's at as far as prime Kiss for me. That's
Hmm.
sort of
Hmm.
yeah. So yeah,
Um,
that's my take on it. Yeah,
well,
yeah,
let me ask you this. I mean, much has been said about the quality of the production, like a very
yeah.
muddy, I think the term is compressed sound. Just like the drums sound like very tiny, just
Mm.
very small, very like minute. Um, do you think that it would have benefited from being maybe re-recorded at some point in the career, like during their heyday? Like, couldn't they have got would have let me put it this way, would it have benefited if they went in and re-recorded the album proper.
Yeah, like even today, a remix wouldn't be a bad idea. You know, that it's all the rage now, isn't it? Remixing. I mean, Beatles have been doing it. Yeah, I could have. I could. I think it would benefit from a remixing, but I don't know, it's part of its charm, I guess, too, the production as well. You know, I
Mhm.
feel in a way it's part of its charm. But I would like to always keep the original there, of course. But yeah, a remixing, I'd be open to a remix even now.
Yeah,
Um, it'd be
maybe.
good to have that alternative take on it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, they could release it maybe as a double disc, like the original,
yeah.
and like remaster it yet again from like the umpteenth time, but also do like maybe like a full remix of the album. Do it,
Oh yeah, yeah,
release it as a double.
yeah. Like with box sets, all the rage. They could do a box set, the original album and the remixed album. Or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, this album. When I was looking doing my bit of research on it. I mean, it took 3 years for it to go gold.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
was, certified gold on June 23rd, 1977.
Mm,
Uh, I'm like, oh my God. Um, but
mm.
I mean, listening to this album again today, I love this album. I mean,
Yeah, it
you know,
is a
song,
great album.
with songs
Yeah,
like Got to Choose,
yeah.
Parasite. I mean, holy shit. Forget about it. I mean, like just that whole track, the rhythm guitar and the
Mm.
attack that Gene Simmons does on the vocal, just the the growling he does on the vocal. It's just
Oh
amazing.
yeah, yeah.
Going Blind is a fantastic,
Oh, love it, love it,
you know,
love it.
and they
That's
did
awesome.
Going Blind on the Unplugged,
Yes,
you know.
very well too. Yeah.
And oh yeah,
Yeah.
and guys, just a little note, a little side note. I have the going. I was going to say the Going Blind documentary. I have the Unplugged uh, video, and there's a section where they're not filming; they're like in between takes, and Gene Simmons is a country version of God of Thunder.
Oh, really?
Like
Ah,
uh like it's hilarious. It's hilarious, and he does it in like a kind of like a Merle Haggard kind of a voice. So it's hilarious. um but yeah, I mean, songs like, okay, Going Blind is great. Harder Than Hell, I mean, I still like it today. Let Me Go
yeah.
Rock and Roll, that's grown on me, over
Mm.
the years. All the Way is a good track. Watching You, I mean, forget about it. I mean,
That's just awesome.
like
Yeah,
just amazing, right? And
amazing. Yeah, it is.
yeah, and Mainline and is another good one. Uh Coming Home, I didn't realize it was from this album when
Oh,
I
okay.
when I
Yeah,
heard
yeah.
it, because it starts
Mm,
off the
mm.
Unplugged
Oh,
um
yeah, yeah.
concert, right? And Strange Ways, I mean, a good way to end the album, very good, heavy song. And the reason why uh Ace Frehley had them, Paul, not Paul, had Peter and Gene sing his songs, is because he didn't have enough confidence in himself to
Yeah, yeah,
sing the
yeah.
lead, right?
Mm,
But I mean, all the crap and the hoopla that's been going on lately over the recent years about, you know, Ace and feuding with Paul and Gene and stuff. Um, all that aside, Ace Frehley, when he was on the ball, he was on the ball. He could write music, and
oh, yeah, yeah,
he could write a song
yeah.
like no one's business.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, I think it is a good album. It's a shame that it suffers from the lack of in production, and I
mm.
guess you could call it a lack of sophistication in the production. Um,
Yeah.
and I think it was Richie Weiss who gave an interview and said that he dropped the ball on that.
Oh, yeah,
It
yeah.
was his fault that this album didn't turn out the way it should have. And he apologized for it. Well, you know what, guys, go back in the studio and fix it. Yeah, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. They could like a
you know,
remix would be really good, you know.
yeah,
But you leave the original there for history, you know. You got to leave the original there, but you make a remix as well, you know.
yeah,
But
no, I mean, definitely.
yeah,
I think it is a good album. I think the packaging on it is really good. Um, it's a shame that it didn't catch on when it first came out,
yeah,
because albums, uh, like singles, albums usually have a shelf life. You know what I mean? In
yeah,
terms
yeah.
of
They do,
when
yeah.
when they're in the public consciousness, and you have that short period of time to promote it and push it and really get the most out of it.
Mm,
It's a shame that this happened, and that it happened with this album, that it didn't get promoted enough. And it's got to be said too, the tracks from the first three Kiss albums, I mean,
mm.
they're all on the live. If you want to hear, I guess you could call them the definitive live versions of these songs, buy Alive or stream it on YouTube.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Find a way to get
yeah.
your hands on it, because
Yeah.
songs like Parasite and Got to Choose and you know Watching You, they're amazing live. There's more energy to
Mm,
them live. Um,
yeah.
you know,
Not to mention, not to mention songs from the debut, like Cold Gin, is very, very much different.
yeah,
As far as energy goes, and even Rock and Roll All Night is given a bit of a boost.
yeah. There's a
Yeah,
guitar solo
yeah, yeah,
on the live
yeah,
version when there isn't any on the studio version. So I
yeah,
mean, yeah, I yeah, no, I want to thank you for suggesting we do this video, because I mean, I've been listening to the album, and I like it more every time I listen to it.
yeah.
You know, it,
Also, there was the first three albums didn't do very well, as everyone knows, sales wise, and the record company said, "Oh, that Kiss Alive didn't do anything. They were in a chance of being dropped from the label.
yeah,
That Alive saved them, really. The taking off like it did. Yeah,
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 yeah, and well, yeah. I mean, the first three Kiss albums sold in the US, let's say they sold like 50, 60,000 copies each, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
they really didn't do much.
mm,
And the record company Casablanca went to them and said, "Look, we'll do a live album, but this is going to deliver. If this does
mm,
not take off, you are off the roster. You're no longer
yeah. You're gone.
on our
Yeah,
label." And and I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. You
mm,
reminded me of a question I wanted to ask you. And I'll ask it now. With Alive, right? There's been a lot of talk about the fact that it's not really like a lot. It's not really a live album per se, because there were
yeah. Not
overdubs.
authentic. Yeah,
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 yeah, there were
yeah.
overdubs done in the studio. What is your take on that? Do you support that? Do you not?
Um. Well, as far as that gets, as live, Kiss aren't the only ones guilty of that with live albums. That's the first thing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's. I wouldn't say it's majorly disappointing. A little disappointing, but it's happened with other bands. So, but I guess if you get the point across of the feel of a live show, it's 100% on. You know what I'm saying? It just
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
makes its point. If you want that feeling of a live show, this album does it every time.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's my take on that. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 What
Um,
about yourself?
um, if they wouldn't have said anything, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah,
I wouldn't
yeah.
have been able to tell the difference. I mean,
Mm,
Eddie Kramer, um, did such a good job with putting everything together and mixing, the enhanced audience reaction with with the music and stuff.
Mm.
If they didn't say anything, I wouldn't have known. I think, you know what? I think it's totally legitimate. I think
Yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah.
if you're an artist and you want to present yourself in a good light in the best possible way, especially with a live recording, if you've made a flub here and there, a mistake, a note, whatever, I think it's totally legitimate to go in and fix it. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, let's put it this way: take your favorite band, okay?
Mm.
Take your favorite band in your mind, picture in your head, and you out there watching. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, everyone
put it in
else.
your
Yeah.
head, and they release a live album, and on every song there's a wrong note played or a missing lyric, or they're flat, they're not delivering on the vocal.
Mm.
How would you feel if that live album from your favorite band was released as a document of that tour that maybe you've
Yeah,
seen or you want to see, and they basically took the worst performances of that tour and put it
that's
together
right.
on a live album?
Yeah.
How would you feel, Peter? And I'll ask you guys after. I mean, like,
Yeah,
how
well,
would you?
yeah, look, it's exactly right. For just the mere fact that once it's out there, it's out there, isn't it? I
Yeah,
mean, you know what I mean? Once it's
yeah,
out there, you can't do much about it, you know? And
yeah,
it's there forever, you know?
yeah,
And so if they have to do some fixing in the studio, so be it, you know?
yeah. I mean,
You got to, the band has to live with the album if they're going to put it out there with all the mistakes in, you know? The
yeah.
band
I
has to live
mean,
with it. And the fans, yeah.
exactly. I mean, and again, like you said, they're not the only band to have done this. I mean, when
No.
when Queen Live Killers came out in '79, Roger Taylor publicly stated that he hated the album,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
and then he said the only things played live on that album were the drums and the bass,
yeah,
right? Like he really didn't. He hated that album. So I mean, if this is how you want to present yourself as a live act, to your audience or to the public at
mm.
large, why would you release an album full of mistakes?
Yeah. It's just dragging, making the fans unhappy and dragging yourself down at the same time,
Exactly.
isn't it?
And
Yeah,
would you
yeah,
want to go see that group again,
yeah.
knowing that this is
This is
their
how they
record,
sound.
this is how they sound, right? I mean, it would be like forgetting
Yeah,
to mic the drum kit
yeah,
and not and throughout the whole show. you know,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it,
That's it.
yeah, and
I do agree with you. I do agree with you. Getting off the subject a bit, but I do agree with you about live. If you're going to do a live album, make it a double album. You remember, I've heard you say that a million times. You know,
oh God, yeah.
make it a double, not a single album. You know? Yeah,
Thank, thank you, thank you.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, give me a break here. What group or what like or act? It doesn't matter what genre. What act would release a live album consisting of only 10 songs or 11
yeah,
songs? Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? It's like it
yeah.
doesn't make any bloody sense. You know,
No,
I'm under the belief, my very humble belief, that a live album should have a beginning, a middle, and an ending.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
Mm.
you can't get that with only a single disc. I'm sorry. Um, but no, thank you for saying that. And
Oh, that's all right. Yeah,
um, speaking of um, we're going to go off on another tangent. It's a Kiss related question,
yeah,
but there's been much talk in the press over the past couple of years that Paul Stanley has said that when he and Gene Simmons retired from the band,
Mm.
that this was at least a couple of years ago, that they fully intend to keep the band going with people stepping in for them and continuing. What is your take on that, Mr. Peter Kent? And please
Um,
give me
well, I'm
your.
against that. I'm against that. I'm against that 100%. That'd be over. That's that's a tribute band. I mean, that's no original member. I mean, they're operating now with two originals. I know they're doing. It's well documented. They're using tapes, to because of their age, the vocals. It's out there now. Paul's using a backing track. Gene, they reckon could be. I've heard stories. Yeah, and yeah, definitely against that. It's a tribute band in my book, But
Mhm.
I have seen them with this current lineup. It was an excellent show. What kept it going for the backing tracks bothered me a little, but I got used to it. But they still had the two original guys there, But with no originals, it's over for me, As far as I'm, you may as well go and see another band in a club doing it.
Yeah,
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 and I agree with you. The only one, and the reason why I agree with you is because I'll use Queen as an example.
yeah.
About a year ago, I got in trouble on Facebook. Can you
Oh, okay.
can you imagine an innocent, very easygoing individual like myself gets in trouble on Facebook?
Hard to imagine. Yeah.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
Um, Reason being, ladies and gentlemen, is um, the Queen were touring with Adam Lambert at this point. This was like a year and a half ago. And they're still touring. They're coming to Toronto, by the way, October the 8th. I'm not going, but I've already
You're
seen
not
them.
going? You're not going?
No, I can't go back to Toronto, unfortunately. But I've seen them 3 times. So, I mean, because
Three
they're
times.
not,
Oh, the Adam Lambert version, three times.
yeah,
I've seen it once. It was a great show. I'll give him that. The
it's
time when
good.
I saw them about 9 years ago, whatever it was, I did went one time. It was an awesome show. All the hits,
It was
you
good.
know,
It was
and he
good.
sings beautiful. He sings beautifully. I must, yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
And just a little, another little side note. We saw them, Bob and I went to see them in Vancouver, July of 19. We drove 12 hours from Edmonton, Alberta to Vancouver,
Uh,
BC, and it was the opening night of the show. So we didn't know what the set list was. It was 2 hours and 40 minutes of heaven. It was a
wow.
fantastic
Yeah, they're
show.
awesome. Yeah,
They
yeah,
did 31 tracks.
yeah. Like the night I went, it was like that too. Yeah,
Okay.
quite
So
many tracks. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, and they did amazing. Um,
yeah,
I felt bad for Bob quickly because he sat beside somebody who kept singing throughout the whole show off key and didn't know the lyrics. So because he was on the other side of Bob, I was on his right, he
yeah,
was on his left, so I was like, okay, fine, never mind.
yeah,
But what I got in trouble on Facebook because people were blasting Queen for still performing. And
yeah.
they were
Mm.
saying, how could you do this? You know, um, there's no Freddie Mercury anymore. There's no John Deacon. This is not Queen. And somebody actually said to them, put a comment, I pity you for doing this. And
Oh,
I got really,
well,
I got pissed off.
yeah,
I said to them, I responded back, I said, who in the F are you to say that you pity them? This is their music. They wrote it,
oh, I
they
got no right.
produced it,
No right.
they recorded
Yeah,
it. Half of the band is still there. I said, and let the record show that they were known as Queen before John Deacon joined the band. They had the three of them. They had Freddie Mercury,
yeah. Mm.
Roger Taylor, and Brian May under the name of Queen. They had something like the story goes either 3 or 7 bass players before they met up with John Deacon as Queen.
Mm,
So
mm.
the band is still there. Half the band is still there.
Yeah,
So
exactly, exactly.
half the band is still there. So if the demand is still there for them to perform, what is it to you? Like, you call yourself a fan that you actually say that you pity somebody, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't get that. I got in trouble because I swore. Um,
Mm.
I wasn't banned, but I was told, you can't say that on Facebook. Well, I said it,
No.
damn it. I said it.
Mm.
But this is my thing, is that it goes back to, Kiss. Should they continue without any original members? I don't think so.
No, no,
No, I
no.
don't
They
think so.
should just let it go of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely let go of it and say good night. But it's been a great ride. They've had a they've had a great run. They can't,
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
the years.
Yeah.
Yeah, just bit of classes to just you know, say thank you
Yeah.
very much, everyone. That's it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
No,
That's
well,
the
I
way to go.
agree with you. I agree with
Yeah.
you 100%. But so do you have anything else to add about Harder Than Hell and your love?
Hotter than hell. I will say. Uh, I might go either Going Blind or Watching You as my favorite on this album. I was thinking, what would my favorite songs be? And I think they're all excellent, but I'll just go with those two as a standout for me. Going Blind and Watching You for me. Yeah. What about yourself?
I
If you had to
would
pick a
go,
couple.
actually, after
Yeah.
listening to it again today, I would go with All of Side One
Yeah. Yeah.
as a strong side. But as songs that stand out for me, they are Parasite number 1, Watching You number 2,
Yeah.
and
Good
Going Blind
choices.
number 3.
Yeah. Forgot Parasite for a minute. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. They're
So
probably the best for you. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I just find that Parasite for me is very guttural. It's very bare
Oh
bones.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very snarling. It's
Mm.
in your face, and it's just balls to the wall rock.
And,
Um,
and if you're going to have that sort of snarling vocal, you've got to have Gene. He's great at that sort of vocal. Like I remember you talking about Unholy, that great song from Revenge. It suits him perfectly.
yeah,
The style of the song. Yeah.
yeah. When I heard Unholy, that's what made me want to buy Revenge when it came out in
Yeah.
'92.
That's all, and a great track, isn't it? Just a great track.
Yeah, I would have to say that Unholy is my favorite Kiss track. Period. Um,
Oh wow, big call,
just
but it is a great track. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just for the production on it, for the vocal delivery, from Gene Simmons, like near the end where they do the vamp, like at the very end where he does the build up on the final lyric
Yeah.
line. It literally sounds like his throat is bleeding
Yeah.
from the way he's
Yeah.
he's like, from how he's going up in the on the octave. It just
Mm.
feels like he's just ripping his throat apart, and he's
Stretching
just,
it as much as you can, getting it all out. Yeah.
yeah. And
Really,
I
yeah, he
just
rips it out fantastically. Yeah. And
he
such an underrated vocalist, isn't he? I mean, even
um yeah, I think he is an underrated
the mellow
vocalist.
songs, he's got quite a nice voice in the mellower type. I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, this is our episode on Kiss Harder Than Hell, our discussion. And we'd like to hear from you. Put in the comments down there, down below. What do you think of Kiss? Um, do you like Harder Than Hell? Do you not like Harder Than Hell? Do you think that it's an underrated album? Do you think it should be re-recorded? All the comments and opinions are welcome, and they are wanted, actually. So please let us know what
Oh
you
yeah.
think. I want to thank Mr. Peter Kent for coming on the show with me tonight and doing this.
Thanks,
And
Amanda. My pleasure. My pleasure.
also, quick apologies. We've been having a bit of a technical glitch on the video tonight.
Just recently, though. Just recently.
Yeah, just recently
Just recently,
we
wasn't it?
got a good start.
Yeah, it
But
was all
near,
good.
yeah, we got
Yeah.
a good start, but near the end, it was like, okay, here we go.
Oh, if it went well all the way, just at the end here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
no, no.
that's
It's good.
fine.
It's
Yeah.
good.
Happens.
But
Yeah.
quickly, Peter, did you want to plug any upcoming shows that you're doing, or?
Yeah, I've been getting a few requests. I've done top 10 Rolling Stones songs. That's going all right. I did top 10 Pink Floyd songs. The next video we'll do. I've been requested to review Sabotage by Black Sabbath. So that'll be my next video. So I'm going to review
Ooh,
that. Yeah.
ooh, okay.
Unless you want to do it with me, one time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was gonna suggest, I was gonna ask you
Yeah,
off
it's a
camera
good idea.
because I have the box set. I have the
Oh, maybe we could do it together. Yeah. Yeah.
I
And I
have it in
can
the
direct that person to your website. Yeah. Your
yeah.
channel to
No,
watch it.
no,
Yeah.
no. We can do it on, okay. I mean, we could do it together. We could do it like a co-production kind of a thing, like co-channeling kind
Yeah,
of
we
a
can do that. Yeah.
yeah, okay. If you, I was going to ask you
Yeah.
off camera. I didn't want to seem like I was begging. I mean,
Oh, no, no. If
it's
you
like
got the box set, is that the vinyl or CD box set?
CD.
Oh, I've seen. I was nearly going to buy that. How's that? Is that good?
It's good. It is.
Yeah.
It's really good. I like Sabotage. I think it's one of my favorite of the
Oh, yeah.
Ozzy
Yeah.
Osbourne era, right? Um, I like yeah, I like
Oh,
the
yeah.
I like the album. So yeah, maybe we'll do that coming up soon.
Yeah, we'll save it for us then. We'll do it. We'll do it one time. We'll do it. Yeah.
Perfect,
We can do
perfect,
it one time. Yeah. Yeah.
perfect.
If you want. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay, we are going to wrap this up for now, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I want to thank Mr. Peter Kent for coming
Thanks,
on the show
Amanda.
with me. And ladies and gentlemen, check out Mr. Peter Kent's channel, the Lizard King channel. It's fantastic. He's got good content. And please support Mr. Peter Kent. He deserves it.
Yeah.
And support me. I deserve it as well. But that's
Of course
another
we
issue
do.
altogether.
He
So
deserves it. All right. He deserves
thank
it.
you. So and Peter and I talked about doing just before we started taping this wonderful episode, we talked about doing an album ranking on Van Halen.
Yeah.
So that
It'll be
is
a
going to be
beauty. It'll be a beauty.
oh yes, this is going to be a
Yeah.
hell of a show. So like that's coming up with the Steely Dan episode. When we do the Van Halen episode, when you watch it, grab some food, grab a drink, grab a smoke
Yeah.
if you smoke, whatever you do
Yeah.
smoke, sit down
Yeah.
and enjoy because it's going to be a long episode. It'd be like
So,
12 albums.
actually, I'm going to watch this. Although I don't know much about Steely Dan, I'm going to watch it because I'm interested in people talking music. So
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
give it a watch.
And
Yeah.
and just for everyone to know that Steely Dan episode is airing Sunday at 6 p.m. Mountain and 8
Oh,
p.m.
nice.
Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, that's it for now, ladies and gentlemen. Please look after yourselves and one another. I again want to thank Mr. Peter Kent for coming on the
Thank
show.
you.
And we will see you very soon with a brand new video next week. All right. Have a good
Bye,
week.
friend.
Bye-bye.